Good day and welcome to Agenda. Sitting in for Sito Beltran, I'm Ed Lingao. Let's get on today's program with a little boost to our daily starter. Okay, let's now take a look at some of the headlines at the front page of the Philippine Star for today's headlines. The Star says government workers are opposing the proposed right sizing by the Department of Budget and Management. And Vice President and concurrent Education Secretary Sara Duterte is firm that classes will resume on August and full face-to-face classes will start on November. Marinduque Governor and President of the League of Provinces of the Philippines, Presbyterio Velasco Jr., is pushing for a no booster shot, no entry policy in indoor establishments. Meanwhile, Maria Rosario Bergere, the Health Undersecretary, is now named Health Department OIC, or Officer in Charge, while former LRTA Administrator Mel Robles will head the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office, or PCSO. And China continues to refuse to honor the Hague ruling and says it is ready to respond to anybody who looks to implement the ruling. And that's our headlines, courtesy of the Philippine Star. Now let's head on to our first guest for this morning. The Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, lifted its decade-long moratorium against higher education institutions opening new nursing programs. Could this actually improve the nursing education in the country? We have for our first guest to discuss this with us, but first let's get to know him in this video.
Melvin Miranda is the National President of the Philippine Nurses Association. He is also the incumbent Board of Governor of the association's Untitled Chapter. Aside from this, Miranda is the Dean of Manila Central University College of Nursing.
Good morning, sir, and welcome to Agenda.
Good morning, Sir Ed.
Yes, sir. Good to have you with us, sir. Well, a little bit of background, I suppose. I suppose a lot of people do not remember. Na noong 2010, government imposed a moratorium on the opening of new nursing programs. Supposedly, though, because there were 200,000 excess nursing graduates in the system. And mababa raw noon yung quality ng mga nursing graduates at hindi pumapasa sa mga tests. I'm wondering how different ba yung 2010 sa 2022? That's a 12-year span. Parang ang laki ng pinagbago ata.
Yes, sir. Pertaining to the number one, because of the CMO 30 series of 2010, with the moratorium of the BSN program, as what you have said, it's because of the oversupply of graduates with over 200,000 nurses with no jobs. Because during the time, it was the peak of, in 2007, it was the peak of demand for nurses abroad. And that's why the Philippine educational system, most specifically the HEIs, have opened the more schools for the BSN program. However, the problem is for our graduates during the time of the 2010, it was considered as oversupplied because there are no job opportunities that were given to our graduates, specifically of the plantilla during the time of the 2010 and 2011. And some of the private hospitals are also oversupply of nurses. So it limits the graduates to enter into the hospitals and other healthcare facilities. That was also the time wherein some of our nursing graduates or registered nurses have been diverted into other fields, such as the BPOs. And pertaining, sir, when it comes to the gradual decline of the performance of the nursing education graduates in the nurse licensure examination, this was evident in the data analytics that the nurse licensure examination had the lowest nurse licensure performance rating of below 50%, and that was very critical.
Sir, isa-isahin po natin. Let's begin with the oversupply in 2010. Ngayon, kamusta ang supply ng nursing grads?
Yeah, actually, sir, for now, we have still an excess of the supply, yes.
By how much?
We have an excess of almost 176, I think. Yeah, 176,000. So actually, sir, when it comes to the data presented even by the Department of Health, 617,898 were registered in the December 2021.
Okay.
And the demand only for the time of December 2021 is 301,944. So seemingly there's a variance of almost 303,724.
Okay.
So for the data that had been presented, it must still open opportunities for the government to still have the same problem that we encountered in 2010, the opening of the plantillas. However, the purpose of, I think, of lifting the moratorium for the BSN program is to have the efficient implementation of the universal healthcare, because they see that it may not just only need this 303,000 in the future, but after 4 years, as based from the HRH master plan of 2020 and 2040 of the Department of Health, they will need more.
Okay, pero sir, at least given the numbers that we cited just now, parang mas marami pa yung oversupply ngayon. I know you're saying na potentially, and that's a potential pa lang naman, potentially baka mas kailangan ng nurses in the next few years because of the universal healthcare program. But that's
Yes,
a potential. That's a potential pa lang.
Yes.
Pero from 200,000 in 2010 na oversupply, now what, you're looking at 303,000 na oversupply?
Yes, that's the variance as of December 2021.
Di ba mas mahirap to? I mean, I'm just looking at from at least on the surface, the numbers on the surface.
Yes.
Di ba mas malaking oversupply talaga ngayon?
Actually, the data that I have mentioned was December 2021. And
Yes.
considering that the POEA have declared already the 7,500 deployment cap. So meaning, during the time that we had our nurse licensure examination of November 2021, they look into it that it's an additional workforce. Actually, our problem is not in the National Capital Region. The lack of nurses are problems in the regions and the far-flung areas.
Yes, sir. And understand that yung unevenness ng distribution dun sa iba-ibang rehiyon. Pero at the same time, sir, I suppose the question is, will lifting the moratorium make for an even distribution of nursing graduates in the regions? I mean, if you have 303 excess, at least on the surface, will adding more to that excess plug in the gaps in the regions? Kasi, I don't know, sir, pero malamang sa hindi, yung mga bagong nursing programs naman, magbubukas yan sa mga region na mayroon ng nursing program ngayon.
Yeah. Actually, sir, that's the one that we are calling to prioritize those areas and regions, specifically SUCs and LUCs that do not offer the BSN program, because these are also the same areas that lack nurses, specifically in the communities. So I think if the BSN, with the lifting of the moratorium, with the SUCs and LUCs that do not offer the BSN program, just like, for example, sir, in Caraga, there are 3 private hospitals that offer BSN program, but none of the SUCs are offering the BSN program. And considering the implementation of the pre-tertiary education law, so I think if this could be implemented and prioritize the SUCs and LUCs, our prospective students who will enter the BSN program will benefit at the same time with the pre-tertiary education program. Because as of the moment, sir, we don't have any scholarship grant for nursing, and they do not and prospective students who may enter the private higher education institution may not benefit the scholarship that is being offered with other allied health sciences program.
Okay. And for example, in Caraga region, dahil private education institutions nag-o-offer, so may booming ngayon doon sa possibly free nursing programs. Sir, so tama ba intindi ko, your group, yung PNA, yung Philippine Nurses Association, you're supportive of this move to lift the moratorium?
Yes, it's a welcoming development for all of us, because the CHED had been responsive to the situations we're in, since it will implement the universal healthcare. So they have carefully studied, particularly those areas that may really need nursing workforce. So I think the gap to consider with the nursing education is to lift the moratorium, and we are in support of the lifting of the moratorium, sir.
Okay. Sir, how about quality? Okay, we've talked about the supply issue. What about the quality issue? The quality issue that hounded the nursing program in 2010, supposedly, and dami raw hindi pumapasa doon sa board.
Mm-hmm.
How's
So
it now?
when it comes to those aspects, it have laid down all the actions by the PR, or the Professional Regulatory Board of Nursing, also with the Association of Deans of Philippine Colleges of Nursing, also with the Philippine Nurses Association, and what other related agencies. So they have laid down all the strict rules and regulations and even implementation, so that with the lifting of the moratorium now, it will be more strict when it comes to not just having the 24 hours to have the authority to offer the BSN program, but rather it will focus rather on the quality of competent nurses that we will produce through this decision.
Sir, actually, nagulat din ako na we have at least December of 2021. That's only last year. It was only 7 or 8 months ago. We had an excess, at least on the surface, of 303,000 nurses.
Yes.
Despite the pandemic.
Yes.
So actually that caught me by surprise. Meron pala tayong excess in the number of nurses despite the ongoing pandemic. What accounts for this? Bakit tayo may ganun pa ring excess? Samantalang if I remember right, what was this? Sometime late last year, nangangarag yung ospital dahil kinukulang sila ng tao.
Exactly, sir. Actually, sir, with that 300,000 that I have mentioned, some of these nurses, as what I mentioned, have been diverted into other fields. And the other nurses, sir, those who are in practice, are applying naman, sir. Those who are having pending applications for abroad. At the time of the January to the March of the 2022, since the POEA have increased the deployment cap to 7,500. So the 7,500, sir, contributed already, maximized already as of March 2022, have maximized already those who have been deployed abroad, and continuously from April to up to this date, up to this month, it continuously increased those applications. So meaning with the 300,000 that excess that we have, it's not more that they are staying here in the country, but more they are gearing towards application abroad. So that's why the POEA and the Department of Health seemingly have conclusions that we are really having insufficiency of nurses, affecting most the regions as well.
Pero sir, yung well, I understand that a big chunk of the problem kung bakit nag-abroad yung mga nurses at yung ibang mga nurses ay hindi nag-nursing dahil at nag-BPO na lang ay dahil sa sweldo. Especially doon sa private hospitals. We're talking about private nurses here. Na-resolve na ba ang issue na yon? Yung pasweldo sa mga private nurses?
For now, sir, it's not yet resolved, simply because in the 18th Congress, it was closed in the 18th Congress related to our substitute nursing bill, which stipulates the alignment of the salary of the government healthcare workers to the private healthcare workers, which is salary grade 15, and that's 32,205. And we are pushing at least that it will be aligned and have the same salary scheme that will be considered for the private healthcare institution. But as of now, as per coordination to the Department of Health, the average salary of our nurses is 9,000 to almost 15,000. So that is only net. So it's almost half of the salary that had been considered as a discrepancy with the government healthcare institution.
Ang laki na kaiba. Sir, teka, yung 32,000 is for public nurses.
Yes.
Is that correct? At
yes,
yung 9,000 to 15,000 range is for private nurses.
Yes, sir.
Ang laki nga ng discrepancy. It's almost a third.
Yes.
Paano nagkaganon? Teka, pero sir, how can government regulate the salaries in the private sector
Yes.
to that degree? I mean, is it within the mandate of government? I understand kasi dun sa public sector ng mga nurses, madalis na i-regulate eh. Pero in
Yes.
the private sector, can government impose a cap not a CAPE, as a minimum
Mhm.
standard for nursing salary.
Yes, sir. Even the private, we have coordinated also with the private hospital associations, and they are very much willing to take into consideration as long as the government will subsidize those hospitals who will in need of subsidy assistance when it comes to the establishment of the salary. So I think whenever the law will be enacted and it will consider that provision and it may implement the implementing rules and regulation, I think it may start there and it will consider specifically the crafting of the policies, the implementing rules and regulation that will gear towards alignment.
Pero sir, medyo madugong usapin ng subsidy,
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree. I totally agree because it's funding.
It's a funding issue, and it's a funding issue in the private sector.
Exactly, sir.
Those are two separate things altogether, di ba?
Exactly,
Iba yung
sir.
subsidy sa public sector, iba yung subsidy sa private sector.
Exactly, sir. That's why even our allowances that had been disbursed this year, it was came from the contingency fund of the president's office. So that's why I know and I do understand that it will take a long road for the discussion and for the lobbying of these concerns. But the point of starting at starting at this time could be one, as mentioned by our president, Bongbong Marcos. Let's start the changes starting tomorrow, and it was almost a week.
Mhm, mhm. Pero sir, can you give us an idea kung ilang porsyento sa mga sa nursing population yun sa private sector at nasa public sector? Para may idea tayo. Kasi you're talking about 32,000 per month versus 9 to 15,000 a month. Ilang porsyento ba yung nasa public? Ilang porsyento nasa private?
Yes, sir. As according na rin po with the data from the Department of Health, Human Resources for Health rather, we have for the public private facilities, we have 106,694 versus the public facilities, healthcare facilities of 65,895. So we have more number of nurses as of December 2021 in the private facilities.
Oo, malaki by 40% more.
Yes.
Well, more or less, ha?
Yes.
Sir, madugong usapin nga yung subsidy.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why even the private hospital association mentioned that they are now lacking nurses because
Yes.
they are now shifting to the government healthcare institution because of the local government units and the national government are challenged to open plantillas because of the implementation of the universal healthcare. So what is lacking now is in the private sector.
Yeah, well, lacking by a huge margin. Sir, well, Mr. Melvin Miranda ng Philippine Nurses Association, sir, I do hope that you find a solution to this problem kasi ang laki nga ng discrepancy. Well,
Yes.
I use the word discrepancy in the sense na ang laki ng variance
Yes.
ng dalawa. So it might be a little bit difficult nga naman talaga to find a common ground there, especially in a time of crisis funding.
Yes, sir. I
But
agree
anyway,
with
sir.
that. I agree with that.
Anyway, sir, maraming salamat for joining us this morning. Mr. Melvin Miranda of the Philippine Nurses Association. We will be back after a few messages. Please stay with us. Keep it here on Agenda. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Agenda. It's a Friday morning. It's a good day to start off the weekend. And for this second half of our show, we have with us Father Nick Austriaco. I'm all smiles because we're about to talk about, among other things, one topic I wanted to ask him about. It's about the beer vaccine. But anyway, so experts describe the COVID-19 Omicron BA.5 as the worst version of the virus that they have ever seen. Our second guest will share his insights about this. Let's get to know him more in this video.
Father Nicanor Austriaco, OP, is a Filipino-American Catholic priest and molecular biologist. Father Austriaco became more known for being one of the fellows of the OCTA research team. He is also part of former presidential advisor for entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion's team of experts focusing on crafting the exit plan from the pandemic. Aside from this, Father Austriaco is a professor of biology and theology in various universities in the US and the Philippines.
Good morning, Father, and welcome to Agenda.
Good morning, Ed.
Forgive me, Father. I have to qualify what I said a while ago. Let's not call it the beer vaccine. It's the yeast vaccine.
The yeast vaccine.
Yeast vaccine. But we will get to that later. I have to be a bit more responsible, and I have to park that in for a few minutes while I talk about something over the horizon right now. Of course, all this talk about BA.5. We've seen BA 11, BA 12, BA
So we have
BA2,
BA2, and then BA4, and now BA5.
BA5. Of course, by this point,
correct.
everybody's thoroughly confused, and then we hear that it's at least from some points of view that this is going to be the worst subvariant that we've ever seen. So a bit of confusion there. We've also seen some literature that says that it's yes, it is so far the most infectious, but it also does not give you severe symptoms in general. So what is it really, and how does it measure up compared to the other subvariants?
So thank you for that question, Ed. We're still dealing with an Omicron variant, and so thanks be to God, for the most part, the Omicron variants have been mild in terms of whether or not you experience severe disease and death if you are vaccinated and boosted. So let me just qualify that, since significant numbers of citizens are already vaccinated and boosted, the experience for most people of Omicron BA.5 or any of the other variants in the Omicron so far is going to be relatively mild.
Okay.
It's when someone says it's worst, I mean, they could mean it's the most transmissible. And in a sense, it is, because it's immune evasive. So if you had BA.1/2 in January during the large Omicron surge, you are actually vulnerable again to BA.5. So because the risk of reinfection is significant, because this variant is able to hide from your immune system. In terms of worst, with regards to its social impact, it's not going to be as traumatic as Alpha, certainly not as Delta. What we're going to see is people will get sick, but hospitalizations should not reach critical levels.
Father, if we can just qualify that, if you compare, for example, BA.5 with the original Wuhan virus and with Delta, how does it compare? Let's take them up one by one.
That's a very challenging question to respond to directly, because with the Wuhan and with the Delta, we were not really vaccinated, right? So if you ask for someone who has never been vaccinated, never been sick before with COVID, is Omicron going to be rough? Yes, it will be. It will be rough. Will it be as rough as Alpha or Delta? It depends on the individual, especially if they have comorbidities. But today, we have a different landscape. The immunity landscape is different because so many Filipinos have been vaccinated, and thank God, some have gone out to boost. We need to increase the boosting significantly. And many have also been infected with the other variant of Omicron. So this is hybrid immunity, natural immunity, and vaccinated immunity. And so the population immunity for the Philippines is relatively robust at this time.
But Father, at the same time, we have very low boosting rates. We're only at
Very
15
low, and
million.
it's unfortunate. It's only, it depending upon the location. I mean, the NCR, I've heard we're at in the 40s already, which is great. But we really need to up that boosting rate, because what the science shows is that 2 is not enough. 2 is not enough. Especially, we are preparing for our children to return to face-to-face.
Yes,
So
Father.
it's important that we decrease the amount of virus in the environment, in the population for them. So in order to do that, we need to be boosted. Isa pa. One more.
Father, you're talking about the first booster shot. In the meantime, there are people. Yes, sir. Yes, Father. But in the meantime, there are people who've had their first booster shot. More than half a year ago? More than half a year ago. And there's of course also concerns na baka paso na yung kanilang immunity.
So one of the things we've seen is that with 3 shots, the initial vaccine series and the booster shot, your body has developed significant immunity. So even if you get sick, it will be relatively mild. Now, for those who are vulnerable, for lolas and lolas, for those with comorbidities, when you are given the opportunity, you should get a second booster. So my mom is 80 years old. So I advised her last month to go and get a second booster. And so she did in our hometown of Las Piñas. So for those who are weaker, it's better to get a second booster. But for most of us, we really should be boosted once for now. And maybe once we have the new boosters, which are Omicron specific, they're called bivalent vaccines. They should arrive by the end of this year or early next year. Then we can reconsider this question again.
Father, is that what we were waiting for, the bivalent booster shots? Is that why we haven't had the second booster shot yet? I mean, like I was saying, there are people who are waiting for the second booster shot. I know we are still waiting for people to line up for the first booster shot, but in the meantime, there are people who have had their first and are still waiting for the second.
So what I understand is that there are regulatory delays at this time for the second booster for the general population. And I know that from what I hear, the government is considering opening up the second booster to a larger population of the people, but that is still being discussed right now by the regulatory agencies, especially as you see, we are transitioning from one administration to another. So people are in flux. And that's what you're seeing in terms of delay. In the United States, the second booster has been opened up to 50-year-old and above. And I'm hoping that soon 50-year-old and above will have that same opportunity dito sa Pilipinas.
Father, so when Eric Topol of Scripps Research called BA.5 the worst version of the virus we have ever seen, he was in general referencing infectiousness.
I'm assuming, I have not read his tweet, but given the data in South Africa where the BA.5 surge has peaked and is coming down, it looked nothing like Omicron in January. So it's certainly not, in terms of severe disease and death, it's certainly not the worst. But in terms of transmissibility, especially because it's able to hide from the immune system, yes, the reinfection chances are up. The reinfection risk is up. So yeah, most people who I have not yet gotten COVID. I've not been tested positive for COVID. Eventually, I expect to.
Actually, Father, same here. I haven't gotten it yet, but I was also wondering, should I actually be hoping to get it sooner or later? Because kahit pa paano, I suppose, meron ding impact yung natural immunity.
No, I mean, it's never good advice to intentionally get sick, especially when we have vaccines available. So my suggestion is during a mini surge, so we're experiencing the mini surge, we should still continue to be very careful. For those especially who are vulnerable, they should stay at home. They should not go to crowded places for now. The expectation is that this mini surge of BA.5 should peak in the next few weeks and start to recede. And then once it goes back down again, once the virus has spread, as much as it can and begins to fall, then we can go back out. And if we go back out, of course, it's so important to maintain our mask, especially the best quality mask that we have, which is usually an N95 or 94, a KF94. So all of these are really important. But the most important is to get vaccinated. And if you've not been boosted yet, to go and get your booster.
Mm-hmm. Father, so Vergara has been saying or said that we now have 293, if I can read this right, 293 cases of BA.5 in the country. So is it correct to say we're expecting BA.5 to become the eventually dominant subvariant in the country? And then from 293, how far up could it go?
No, I mean, so the experience of other countries is that BA.5 is going to dominate. It will dominate quickly. So we are only sampling the available cases, but the expectation is within a week. If it's not already within a week, the majority of cases is BA.5, and by the time it peaks and starts to come down, the country will be basically BA.5. And so it's the most transmissible in a sense. You want something like a BA.5 Omicron to dominate in your country because it's mild. And so it will protect us from a future variant that may be less infectious, but more severe. And so in order to replace BA.5, you need something even more transmissible. So at some point, it's going to become harder and harder for the virus to mutate. There's a natural limit to transmissibility, though we do not know what that is yet for COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Father, that's what I meant to ask Dr. Ronjin Solante last night in the Chiefs. Would that be one way of looking at it, that BA.5 might actually be, I don't know if I'm looking for a silver lining here, but BA.5 might actually be, in the universe of COVID-19 viruses, it might actually be the better variant, subvariant to get, if at all, because it's super infectious, but it's not as bad as the other ones.
Well, think about it this way. Omicron, first of all, Omicron is better than anything that went before it. So had Delta been dominant now, we would be in big trouble, because that means that once our immunity wanes, we would be susceptible to Delta, which is quite severe. So it's a great blessing from the Lord that we have Omicron. And then within the Omicrons, you have a milder version. I mean, it's harder to really determine which is milder, but it's still relatively mild compared to all of the others. And so Omicron is protecting us right now from a Delta, right? So Delta is pretty much out of the picture. It may be sparsely around, but my sense is that Omicron really, if not BA.2, certainly BA.5 will become the prevalent variant around. And that will protect us from another Delta strain that now has to become more transmissible than Omicron in order for it to replace Omicron. And so, yes, it's a blessing. But again, some people are going to get sick. Some will still get very sick. And unfortunately, some will still die. So illness is, in a sense, never quite the blessing. For those who get sick, it's always a challenge.
Mm-hmm. But I get what you mean. In the universe of viruses, this is the one that you would probably want to get compared to the other ones. We try not to get it, right? We try not to get it. Yeah.
You try not to get it, but if you get it, you want the mildest one available.
You want this one.
Yeah. So again, to you and to the audience, we just want to be careful to try to avoid getting infected. But if we do, we do.
Father, how will this change things for the Philippines, this BA.5? Or will it change anything for the Philippines? Delta did changes kahit paano, di ba? It freaked out a lot of people, and people got boosted. Actually, people got immunized. People panicked and lined up to get immunized.
This is the pattern we're going to be in for the. The population immunity is robust. And it's looking like annual shots eventually. It will just become over time. Our experience is going to be COVID is part of our life. But we are in a transition, right? It's a transition to see what's happening.
Father, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you about your yeast vaccine now.
Yeah, so
How's it going?
I permanently moved to the Philippines last month.
Permanently?
I'm here for good now, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity to return home and to serve the Filipino people. And so we've just completed our second round of animal studies in mice, and we will have the data from that in the next month or so. And what we're exploring now is really what the next steps are in order to move this closer towards human trials. And I'm still, I'm new in the Philippines with regards to science. So I'm talking to individuals in the vaccine expert panel to try to figure out what data we need to present. Now, hopefully this will be the first vaccine developed in the Philippines for Filipinos. And so I think there's a learning curve for everybody to figure out what's needed to approve it in the Philippines.
But Father, are you developing an Omicron specific vaccine?
So we already have the Omicron specific version. It takes only a month for us to make a variant specific version. So we have a BA version, and we can probably order a BA5 version. I probably should do that. So we have an Omicron version as well. So just like the platform is easy to tweak, right? So, but we have to get the data to support the platform in general, and that really is, like I said, it's a first time, not only for me but for the Philippines. So we're working together to figure out how we can develop a Filipino vaccine for Philippines in the Philippines without me having to return to the United States because we don't have the capacity. I want to make sure to see whether or not we can develop the capacity in our own country so we can become vaccine independent.
Yes, Father, that would be great if we can have an Omicron specific vaccine made by Filipinos in the Philippines. Do you have a timetable for this?
No, again, because I don't think anyone knows right now. Working with the Philippine regulatory agencies, we're still trying to figure out what the map forward will be. So if I'm not sure what the map forward will be, I'm not quite sure how long it will take for us to walk that map.
Well, Father, is there any difficulty with the regulatory agencies?
I mean, I think, well, it's just that, I'm learning the bureaucracy of the Philippines. So
that's
just
a bit problematic.
I'm just learning how many signatures, how many papers, how many different forms and people I need to speak to. But this is just the challenge. And but we can do this. We can do this together, and we can do it for the Filipino people.
Okay, Father, we'll watch out for that, and we wish you well in your endeavor, and we hope to have a taste of that. We hope to have a sampling of your yeast vaccine very, very soon. Just in
Thank
time
you,
for
Ed. God bless you.
God bless you, Father. Thank you for joining us. Ingat po parate. Always good to have you. Father Nick Austriaco of OCTA Research Group, also now of UST, and before from Providence College in New York. Maraming salamat, Father Nick. Stay tuned here in the agenda. We will be right back. and welcome back to Agenda. It is a Friday, so we hope to end this week with a feature. Now, with more Filipinos becoming more mindful of their health, Ecospec Philippines has introduced E2O. And to discuss this, we have two guests from Ecospec. Let's get to them first in this video.
Joel Aguada is the sales director of Ecospec Noveltech Philippines Corporation. Aguada is also the executive managing director of Worldwide Link Group of Companies. Larius Enricus Aseron is currently the vice president of operations and one of the board of directors of Ecospec Noveltech Philippines Corporation. Prior to this, Aseron was a manager of different departments of Ecospec Noveltech in Singapore.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for joining us and welcome to Agenda.
Hello,
And
Ed. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to all your fans.
Oh, I never thought of it that way. But anyway, good morning to you too. Well, gentlemen, tell us first about this. I can see a water dispenser behind you. What is this about and what does this do?
Well, this is called E2O actually. It's our sexy term for energized water, which also
Energized
happens
water.
to be which also happens to be the name of our product right now, the E2O.
Okay, what makes it different from H2O?
Actually, before I probably get into that, I'd like probably to mention that we are in a very special position right now, Larius and I, because actually this is a mission-based company. Well, we felt we have a certain sense of, I'd say, responsibility or mandate to educate the people, no? or the Philippines and probably even the world, that our water now, the drinking water we have right now, is actually compromised already. So parang pinipilit namin maging mapanuri tayo because we deserve better and we deserve to know.
Okay.
Right? So this E2O technology stems from the fact that there's really something wrong with the water we drink. So we know for a fact that the natural sources of water medyo contaminated na. So nobody really gets from the natural sources and just drinks it straight, no? So what do we do? So the tap water that we have, since medyo alam na natin there's some contamination already. So what do? We treat it. We treat it, we clean it, we purify it to make it ready for human consumption. So what do? We make it go through a process and then we add all those chemicals to make it clean. Para sa akin lang, this is not very far from the way I clean my swimming pool. So this is something that I've been drinking and I've been asking my family to drink for all these decades. So my journey...
It's chlorinated water.
It is. So it began my journey to find the right kind of water to give to myself and my family. So nagpunta na kami sa distilled. So distilled water na ininom namin. And only to find out that distilled is clean. In fact, it is so clean that it doesn't have anything in it already. So
you're missing out on a lot of other things.
Naubos na.
Parang baterya yan eh.
Ikaw na nagsabi niyan, Ed, pero totoo yan. Parang ubos na yung laman niya. So a dead water na nga eh. So when you drink it, you excrete it, nothing happened. Nothing happened kasi masyado na siyang walang laman. It's distilled water as far as I'm concerned. So we turned our attention naman, Ed, to this thing we call mineral water. Ayan, better choice. So mineral water, alam na rin naman natin, wala naman talagang natural source of mineral water. Hindi ka naman siguro sasalok dyan sa Pasig o kaya sa Manila, bibotelyahin mo at inumin natin. So ibang mineral lang makukuha natin dyan. So it also goes through a process of cleaning, of purifying, and then we add the necessary minerals to make it mineral water. So I suppose this is okay. Kaya lang, at the end of the day, ang hinahanap natin syempre para sa atin, para sa lahat, is something that is good, something that is beneficial, especially to our health, for our longevity, for overall well-being. So, hindi pa rin siya antioxidant. So, tuloy pa rin ang hanap ko sa tamang tubig na iinumin. Napunta naman ako sa alkaline water. So, someone told me it's good. So, I wanted to do it the natural way at first. So, hiwa ako ng lemon. O lagay ko sa tubig. O after a few months, may ulcer na ako. O pagkatapos noon, sabi ko, ibahin natin. Lagyan natin prutas, lagyan natin vegetables. Actually, okay naman siya. Medyo tumaas lang yung sugar ko ng konti, pero okay naman siya because it was actually alkaline nga. Pero then again, sabi ko, hindi naman pwede araw-araw maghiwa ako ng lemon at gulay. So sabi ko, there is this machine or there are technologies available for this. Okay, so we tried it. Ang sabi lang sa akin, don't take more than 2 or 3 glasses a day. O doon pa lang medyo, sandali, di ba, saan napunta yung 7 to 8 glasses a day? So yun medyo we investigated some more. It's also not natural because the process is inihiwalay mo yung elements ng water, you electrolyze or you process one part of the water, itapon mo yung kabila, and then we drink it. So hindi na tubig, hindi hiwalay. Tapos hindi rin siya antioxidant, hindi rin niya linalabanan yung mga mikrobyo. So that started my journey. At natapos ako ngayon, and this is what we call now the E2O.
Okay, yeah, but what exactly is it? You talked about alkaline water, distilled water, mineral water. What makes E2O any different from those other ones that you tried before?
Yeah, this is now where the technology comes in. And I suppose Larius would be the best person to talk to now. Larius, can you clarify what our E2O is all about?
Yes, thank you, Joel. Hi, Ed. It's about we have our basic core technology using ULF. So it stands for ultra low frequency electromagnetic wave. So non-chemical treatment, it just vibrate the molecules of the water and it produces antioxidant and energized water. So it's really different. And we uses only mineral type of water para yung essential minerals ng ating body is still there. Comparing to distilled and purified water, which is acidic pH level. So it's a different thing. So it will cause the body a problem because it's more on the acidic side. Unlike mineral water, we are bringing the type of water which is necessary for our body. Plus the fact that it is antioxidant and it is energized water. It helps you in your metabolism. It helps you control free radicals because it is antioxidant without eating much fruit. Kasi pag fruit, it will go to digestive system. So there is digestion. Unlike water, as Joel have said earlier, directly it will drink. So even if you consume more than 8 glasses of water, it's very good for your body. So it's really different, non-chemical treatment, very safe, and it has antioxidant and energized water.
Okay, but Larius, let's bring it down to layman's level. When you talk about energized water, what exactly do we mean by that? I mean, layman's terms, kasi alam mo naman, sabi mo energized na water, ano yun, nilagyan mo ng baterya?
Ano?
I'm just being flippant about it. But what exactly does that mean, and what does it do for you?
Okay, we go to the word.
Drinker.
Yeah, energy. So meaning, when we compare it to metabolism, so we have a good metabolism. If you are doing exercise on a daily basis, and if you miss 1 or 2 days of that exercise, at least it will complement na yung metabolism mo is in a good manner, na hindi siya mawawala kasi it energizes your body. So there's a factor that it gives you more energy, it gives you good sleep, and energy to do more in a day-to-day work natin sa buhay. So
Ed, siguro I'll add something to that, ano?
Good.
Larius. Ganito, kasi ang sinasabi ng inventor natin, si Dr. Chu from Singapore, ang sinasabi niya, maraming bagay na ginagamit natin today, they all have a certain frequency. So our cell phones have frequency. We are now in a certain frequency. Light has frequency. The microwave has a frequency. So all of these frequencies actually are work. No? So ang ngayon, itong sa ating binigay sa atin is ultra low frequency. It is that exact frequency. Itong technology natin sa machine, it is that exact frequency that makes the water now activated. It energizes the cells of the water. Therefore, it energizes na para pag ininom natin, pwede siyang lumaban sa free radicals at saka sa bad cells. Katulad kanina si Father, in-explain niya, iba-iba ang tama sa tao ng virus because it depends on the fighter cells of our body. It really depends on how healthy they are, how many they are. Ngayon, kung mahina-hina yung cells natin because of all the drinks that we have taken, of all the fatty foods, of all the pollution, so mahina-hina ang cells natin. So, na-overcome siya ngayon ng bad cells or the free radicals. Kaya it results to a lot of problems. So, cancer, allergies, gout, gastrointestinal issues. Ang daming issues na lumalabas na, or diseases na lumalabas. Now, the E2O water, because the cells are energized, it helps our body cells get healthier, get ready to fight these buwisit na free radicals and bad cells that are attacking us on a daily basis.
Well, you did mention antioxidant properties, but let me ask you to laymanize that again. I mean, we have heard that phrase antioxidant in several other products before, pero to be frank about it, not that many people know what it means. When you say antioxidant, what exactly does that mean, and what does it do for you?
Larius?
Yes, antioxidant, it controls yung mga, it gives you anti-aging, so beauty and wellness, it helps also. And then the last one is yung metabolizing, so it gives you good metabolism in our body. So it also immunizes our body for a lot of sickness. That's what Joel said. So pagka ano pa nga, it will control or it will prevent cancer in the long run. So yun yung mga helpful benefits ng antioxidant. And it's very popular among ladies. Kasi yung wellness and beauty, anti-aging or skin problems.
Teka, ba't ladies lang? Hindi ba importante rin sa atin yan?
Yes. It gives us also more power. And
pero dadagdagan ko ng analogy ito, Ed, no? Parang isipin mo pag nag-slice ka, for example, ng apple, for example, no? After a minute or two, kita mo nagba-brown na yan eh. Because it's exposed, nag-oxidize na siya.
Nag-oxidize.
Tumatanda na siya, kumbaga. Kumbaga nalulukot na siya. So, antioxidizing means pag ininom natin ng tubig, which is energized, and antioxidant, tinalabanan niya ito. Hindi ko naman sinasabing hindi na tayo tatanda, pero syempre it will all delay that dreaded process of aging. And the quality of life that you have is very good because, again, of the cells, the energized cells that we take in to energize our body. So, may antioxidant effect siya sa katawan natin. Hindi tayo nung mansanas na kaagad magba-brown. Siguro 2 araw bago mag-brown pagka naka-antioxidant tayo, pagka naka-E2O water tayo. Simply put, parang ganun siya.
But let me get this right. Your product is not the water. Your product is the dispenser that changes the water's properties into something more beneficial to the body.
Well,
is that correct?
The dispenser is the conduit. It is the vessel to deliver it. But actually, the product is the technology, no? So yung technology actually binabayaran yung inside this gray area here is actually the technology where ULF, or what Larius has said to be the ultra low frequency, happens. So lahat ito, since it's directly connected to my water source, it actually energizes the water here before I dispense it here. So pag lumabas ang tubig dyan, treated na siya. Treated na siya ng ULF, ultra low frequency. Yes, you will get this. If you invest in your health and get this product, you'll get this very nice looking machine, this dispenser. But actually the main thing, the secret sauce, the magic of it all happens here, the ULF technology.
But what I mean is that it applies to all. I mean, it doesn't matter what your water source is. Your product is actually the dispenser itself and what it does to the water that the consumer gets.
Yes.
That's right.
Any source would do. Even tap water, we could transform it into an E2O water or antioxidant water. So also the water coming from the water refilling stations, we could also use it as long it has the content of the minerals, which is the calcium and the magnesium, which is essential for the human body.
Well, of course, next question ng practical question for all consumers. Magkano yan? I don't know if you can give the price, pero at least kahit paano give a range.
Well, actually, yun ang
an idea.
This technology is not actually it's not cheap, but actually we're trying ways and means to make sure that it is affordable. In fact, when someone asks me, oh, isn't it expensive? Oh, if you find this expensive, you should check the hospital bills of others who got sick. But this one can be as low as 9,000 pesos on per month for a few months. So very affordable. We're trying ways and means to make this affordable. Kahit paiyakan ng bayad, okay lang sa amin as long as you get the benefit of E2O.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. When you said 9,000, tapos when you said per month, so that in installment.
Oh yeah, installments yan kasi meron kaming cash basis, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. It depends really because again the main agenda I suppose of the company is not really to profit enough from this product alone. It is actually to send as many of these machines as possible to all households in the Philippines. So we're trying to make it easy for you to get one.
Okay, now for those who are interested in the product, where do they find you? Do you have a website? Do you have a social media account? You have social media accounts, and tell us about getting in touch and learning more about Ecospec and E2O.
Yes, Ed. They could find our email or website account above. So they could see it here. So
yeah.
So they could find it. E2O ecospecph.com. We have also in Facebook and in Instagram. So you could find it there. And please contact our line for the inquiry, product inquiry.
And your website. I suppose you have a website.
Yes, this website, E2O ecospecph.com.
Oh, there. Yeah. Uppermost. E2O ecospecph.com.
Thank you, Ed.
Also, please don't believe us. Please don't take our word for it. Go visit our website. Get in touch with us. Ay, nako, we'd like to tell you more. Nako, magkwentuhan tayo na mahaba-haba about this new technology, this life-saving technology with the E2O.
Okay, so people out there, go check it out. And don't take our word for it, or don't take anybody's word for it. Investigate and find out if this is something that's really for you. Magpasample ka naman dyan.
Here you go. Oh, inom na tayo. E2O na tayo.
All right.
Cheers, Ed. Have a good weekend.
Bitin naman yan na biyernes na biyernes tapos tubig ang iniinom. But anyway, sige. Umaga pa naman. Don't let me be the bad influence here. Maraming salamat and thank you for that. Good morning, Mr. Joel Aguada and Larius Enricus Aseron of Ecospec Noveltech Philippines Corporation. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Have a great day, Bok. Have a great day, Agenda. Maraming salamat for having us.
And have a good day to you too. And have a better weekend. And that's today's agenda. Keep it here in Cignal TV Channel 5 or Channel 250. I'm sorry, Channel 8 and Channel 250 for the latest news. I'm Lingao. We are One News.